Dear students, as I was saying that if you have watched the last video, it was on entrepreneurship, some tips and advice from my side. This is for your boards exam, the exam that you have tomorrow, the 26th of April 2022. The last video was on how many questions to attempt and how shall you choose which one to attempt and which one not to attempt. This one is on the numericals. You know, numericals are there in your theory paper, maybe not for a very huge sum of marks, but then also it is there, and it's very easy to score 100% in your numericals, provided you keep a few things in your mind. Okay, so first thing, you should know what are the topics that you will get or you might get on the numericals. You have EOQ, you have ROI, you have ROE, and you also have gross working capital and net working capital. BEP was already done in term 1, so it's not there in this term anymore. Though in practical some of the schools had kept it, that's fine, then there's no issue with that. But as far as your theory paper is concerned, the numericals that you should concentrate on are ROI, ROE, EOQ, and gross and net working capital. Now the marks divisions, usually see you get EOQ for either a 2 mark or a 3 mark. The same goes also for your ROI and ROE. If you have seen your sample papers, this time in the sample paper they had given all small numericals on ROI and ROE, which is pretty easy. But if you are having a long ROI or ROE based numerical, or maybe a comparison kind of numerical on ROE and ROI, then you can also expect a 5 mark question on that particular portion. Gross working capital, net working capital can easily come in a 3 mark question. If they want, they can also keep it in 5 marks, but we haven't seen that in the sample paper or any of the sample papers that have come out by most of the publishers. So we are not really very sure about it, but yes, the topics are there and you should be prepared with it. And whether it's coming for 2 marks or 3 marks or 5 marks, that shouldn't bother you. As long as you know your numericals well, you should not be bothered by the marks criteria, whether it's 2 or 3 or 5. Now, how do you score 100%? Certain things you will have to keep in mind. First thing is, state the formulas clearly. If you're doing a numerical without stating the formula, then do understand that you will never get a full mark, because writing the formula also carries certain marks. It can be half a mark, 1 mark, depending upon the weightage of that particular question. But the fact remains that if you're not writing the formula for a particular question, then you can never get a full mark for that particular numerical. If it is EOQ, state the meaning of P, D and C. First, you're writing the formula root over 2PD by C that you're mentioning definitely without a fail. Then you will also mention what is P, what is D, what is C. All these things you will mention, and you will put the value that you have got in your sum. When you get your answer for your EOQ, express it in units or whatever has been mentioned in the question. Suppose pens or books or shirts, whatever was the unit that you mention. Okay, and show all the calculations clearly, show the workings clearly. Your calculations and workings are part of your numericals. You need not do it separately at the back of your answer script. Do not do it that way. Whatever calculation, whatever workings you are doing for your numericals, do it in that particular sum only, because your numerical, the calculation is a part of the numerical and there is marks for your numericals. Okay, next we have next coming to your ROI and ROE. Again, same thing goes there also. Write the formula clearly. Whatever is given in the sum, read it properly. If they are using the term EAT, then write EAT. If they are using it PAT, then use the word PAT. You should be knowing what is EAT. You should know what is PAT. Okay. Same goes for EBT and PBT also. I'm not getting into the details because by now you should be having idea of all these terms. Now, as I was saying, as regards to your ROI and ROE, state the formulas clearly and remember to put that into 100. Okay, ROI, ROE is expressed as a percentage. So you need to write that into 100 thing. You shouldn't forget that. And don't get confused between the formula of ROI and ROE, because if you're writing the reverse formula for ROI or ROE, then there is no chance of getting marks there. Okay, so you will have to be very careful with the formula. Now, if you're talking about this, I was talking about the small sums, the type of sums that had been mentioned in your sample paper this year. But if you're talking about a big sum, suppose an ROI or ROE sum is coming for a 5 marks. In that case, what kind of question you can expect? That kind you will get it from your textbook itself. It is there on page number 202 and 203. Okay, that kind of question. I'm sure your schools, your teachers have done it, though it was not there in the sample papers. Again and again I'm saying, this time we only found small sums on ROI and ROE where directly all the values are given and you just have to put it and get the answer, which is very simple. But till last year we did have the long ones also with a lot of calculations where sales are given, cost of goods sold are given, interest on borrowed funds are given. Okay, then you have different expenses being given to you which are of fixed nature. You have depreciation, you have the percentage of tax which needs to be calculated, and then you need to come to your decision regarding where would you invest or which company is in a better position. So that kind of sum, if you want to revise, then you can simply go to your textbook, go through page number 202 and 203. That question is a good one. So practice that. By now you have obviously practiced, and for the last moment also you can just see that once. Coming to gross and net working capital, again, if you're a commerce student and even if you are from humanities or science background, by now it must have been told to you and things are clear that what is gross working capital, what is net working capital. Be very careful about the formulas. When you're writing gross working capital is the total of all current asset or the summation of current asset. Some of you make the mistake of writing current assets minus current liabilities in the gross working capital. If you're doing that, your sum gets wrong then and there. Okay, and you won't be left with any option of getting the marks because the first part is only wrong. So be very careful about the formulas. Again and again I'm telling you, do not miss out on the formulas. Gross working capital equals to total of current assets. Net working capital equals to total of current assets minus total of current liabilities, or gross working capital minus total current liabilities. And be a little more careful about what you are taking under current assets and what you are taking under current liabilities. Check out the things that are given in the numerical. There might be 1 or 2 things given to you which are actually part of fixed assets or which are part of not being current liabilities. So you will have to take that thing into consideration and you will have to ignore those things. Okay, so everything that is given to you doesn't mean that everything you will have to take in your sum. You will have to use your intelligence and your concepts. So be careful about that. And gross working capital and net working capital, the results will be in rupees. Rupees this, rupees that. ROI, ROE in percentage. This percentage, that's that percentage. EOQ in units. So many units. Or if it is mentioned, books, pens, shirts, whatever, then that particular thing you will mention. So this is about your numericals. Numericals are very scoring. Do not miss out on the numericals. There is nothing to get tensed about numericals. Numericals are pretty easy. Just be careful with the formulas. Be careful with the calculations. Check your calculations again and again so that you don't make a mistake and you don't lose out any marks as far as the numericals is concerned. All the best.